My name is Jubin with Dana. Oh, that was the recording happening. Yeah, my name is Jubin with Dana Legal Services, and we focus on patents, trademarks, and copyrights. And today I have with us Lisa, and I'll let her introduce herself in order to get us. Oh, we're now live. Okay. Okay, I love this technology. Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about what someone needs to take into consideration as they begin to start their own business. What are some of the things that business folks take into consideration and the wisdom they've gained over the years of having their business? So lucky today for us that we have Lisa here with us. Lisa, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and your business and how long you've been in business, and then we'll get into some fun questions.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Jubin. I really appreciate the opportunity. My name's Lisa Riggs. I started my company called Spirit Socks USA. I founded it about 5 years ago. And what we do is we customize socks, and we work with customers in pretty much any capacity to customize socks to meet their goals. And I have a special passion for social responsibility and trying to make the world a better place, one sock at a time. And we've actually been able to do that working with just these amazing nonprofits. And it's been such a journey that I never expected when I had the idea to start the company.
So when you got your idea to start the company, what were some of the things you were aware of that you needed to do legally to make sure your company was set up correctly? Were you
Yeah,
aware?
yeah, and not really. I mean, I knew I needed to found the legal structure. And so is it an S Corp, a C Corp, an LLC, an Inc., all that kind of stuff. And so I did my due diligence on that piece of things. But really, I think I'm not an uncommon entrepreneur. When I had the idea for the company, the first thing I had to think of was the name of it, right? What do I want to name it, and check if there's a domain, and can I get that domain as a .com or a .org, and and then what are my branding colors going to look like? It's kind of all that exciting stuff. And the legal structure comes when you're thinking about taxes and that kind of thing. But honestly, one of the biggest mistakes I made was not going after my trademark, or in the very, very beginning. Like that should have been, I should have come up with a name, looked for the domain, and then looked for that trademark or applied for that trademark for my company to legally protect myself. And I made the mistake of thinking I wasn't big enough, I wasn't good enough. And
Hold on a second. You said you were thinking about all these different legal things and branding and name, and you thought that you couldn't protect your brand because you weren't big enough.
I just didn't really think I was important enough at that point to go get a trademark. It didn't seem, there's no entrepreneur checklist. And in fact, I've thought about writing a book that has an entrepreneur checklist, because this was a big mistake I made in not thinking that I was worthy of legally protecting myself. And so there's no checklist out there to go down and see all these things. And you learn as you go. And I just kind of didn't think I was important enough to apply for that, and didn't really understand as well the ramifications of legally protecting my brand and my business. I learned that later.
Now, as you went through this process and you began to think a little bit about the things you should have done 5 years down the road, so 5 years wiser, what would have been some of the things you would have done right away other than protecting your brand? Are there other things that you wish you'd done early?
Well, I mean, I'm still learning about how to legally protect my business. I do wish I established the LLC and the S Corp and that kind of thing. So right away. So I was happy with that part, but it was really going after the trademark, because I don't really have something I can patent. So that wouldn't be applicable in my situation, but it would have been the trademark to have the legal protection.
Now, at the time you went and you said you also looked to see if the domain was available. When you got the domain, did you think that that was good enough to protect your brand, or did you confuse domains with trademarks at all?
I just didn't know. I didn't even think about the trademark, honestly. I just thought about the website. And as soon as I got the domain, my thought was, well, what's the website going to look like? I did not, this wasn't on my radar, unfortunately. And I wish, if I can help one entrepreneur today by talking about the mistake I made, to put it on the radar, like right away. It's so important to legally protect yourself in every single way. And I don't, Jubin, I don't know if you have a checklist, but it would be very, very helpful for entrepreneurs to just get that education early in the start
Yeah.
of their company.
Thanks for putting me in the hot seat about it. The answer to your
I'm-
question is no, I have not created a checklist, but having talked to you and having talked to several other people, it's becoming more and more evident to me that there is a real need to have a list of things that you should be aware of and do. For example, when you were out there looking for someone to set up your corporation, did you do it yourself? Did you hire an attorney to do it? What was your thought process at the time?
I went to a CPA. I didn't go to an attorney. So I went to a CPA because I thought it was tax related. So I really didn't have the legal piece on my radar.
Okay. And so it was because it was tax related that you went. And did you consider other things like employees, labor employment law, things like that?
I didn't at the time because I was going to be a solopreneur and I wasn't sure. I mean, I bootstrapped this. I didn't go after funding. And so I have literally built it from the ground up. And so I didn't know when employees were going to be my future. I also have an HR background. So I do have 10 years experience with kind of employment law and understanding that piece. So it wasn't that probably led to it was I felt like with my HR background, I have enough of a knowledge to know what needed to be done to prepare for the future.
Or for the future. Now, as you were out there searching and looking for your brand and your domain and trying to protect all of that, did you run into any issues?
Not in the very beginning. No, I didn't.
So you were able to get your domain, it was there. I think your domain is Spirit Socks USA.
.com, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Of course, yes, .com. And then once you got that, you built your website, you started doing it. At what point did you think about, okay, maybe I need to protect my mark? Or did you even recognize what might be your mark?
I didn't really even recognize that it was a mark that needed to be protected. And it was, honestly, it was, and I think this happens to a lot of people, it kind of humanizes us. Like I was at my son's baseball game talking to people about the company and it came up like, why haven't you gone after a trademark? And we just started this whole conversation in the stands of a baseball game, right? And they were talking about, I guess there was an example with Apple that, they didn't get theirs early and had some issues. And so that was when I decided was I wanted to go after it. And unfortunately, it was too late for me. So there's already a company out there with a name that is similar enough to mine that I got denied.
The trademark office. Yeah, I know that we've worked together to try to get your mark through based on its logo, and the trademark office, even with a logo, claiming just a logo and not the words, is giving you a hard time. What's the name of the company that is of causing concern? Is it just sound similar, read similar?
It's very similar. It's Spirit Socks, spelled normally. Mine is Spirit Socks, SOX USA. So they are extremely similar. The problem that really, because you can look up in the USPTO, when they received their approval for their trademark, I think they saw my company come into business because they're 20 years old and applied because it happened. They got it, I think it's about a year and a half after I started the company. So had I known to do this right away, I would have received it.
Right. And that's one thing that is very interesting for trademarks. You can apply for the trademark at any time, like before you start using it, after you start using it, or as you noted, 10, 15, 20 years after you start using it.
Right.
No limits. And then the trademark is yours as long as you keep using it. So it could be, there's certain marks that we know of that are very well known that have been in existence for years. So here's an interesting question then. If you were going to go do trademark work, and if you were going to look at getting a trademark done, how would you go about trying to identify who can help you? Would you do it on your own? Would you suggest working with an attorney? What would you recommend?
I would definitely suggest working with an attorney. I think most of us have.
Now, you're not just saying this because I told you to say this.
No, you did not set me up for that. No, I do think most of us have in our network somebody who can refer us to an attorney that's trusted. And I did interview a few attorneys in the beginning, and they were I just ended up going with LegalZoom, which is probably part of the problem of me getting denied. And so another lesson learned, I should have just gone with an attorney in the first place. And, you know, but that's what I would definitely recommend, going with, you know, getting a referral, interviewing people, and finding an attorney you can trust to work with you, no matter the size of your business. There are attorneys out there that will work with small budgets and small businesses, as well as, you know, the larger type.
For sure, for sure. And you know, one thing that people don't realize is that LegalZoom is a marketing program where attorneys sign up to get work referred to them. And it's not a law firm. It's not a person who is directly connected to the client. It's a client that's referred to a random selection of whoever
Exactly.
happens to sign up. So I think two final questions. You know, if there was a big takeaway that you would recommend to people in terms of starting your own business, what would be one or two things that you'd say for sure? And I'll work with you, or we'll somehow work and make a checklist. But you know, what would be the top two things on that checklist?
I think, as I said, I think definitely, as you're thinking about kind of the pillars that you put into place when you're starting your new business, you definitely need to consider how you're going to legally protect it. I learned that lesson the hard way. I actually did have somebody, after I got denied my initial trademark application, I had somebody come and steal everything off my Instagram, and text and pictures off my website for their website, basically try to steal everything I had. And I had no legal action I could take against this person. And so it was a lesson that's learned the very, very hard way, as well as I can be told to cease and desist at any point, because I don't have that mark. So it may not, if you're starting your business and you for some reason think you're not big enough, you're not worthy enough, don't let that inner voice say that. Make sure you're legally protected as soon as possible. It doesn't cost that much money to apply for that trademark application, and it's money invested in the health and security of your company.
That's a very great point. I guess the analogy for me would be, no matter how small or big your house is, you should still insure it.
Absolutely. That's a great analogy.
So whether you got a 900 square foot home or a 7,000 square foot home, you should insure it. And I think, to your point, there's a lot of attorneys out there who want to and are willing to support people that are early stage startup companies, mid-sized companies, and you've been out there for 5 years, so you've battled a lot of these issues. A lot of people, to your point, I think building up your brand is one thing. It takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of energy. Protecting your brand is a whole different thing. And again, I can't emphasize this enough, based on what you said, that it doesn't matter what your size is.
Yes.
It really doesn't.
Protect your brand as soon as possible, legally protected. It's an investment in your company and the future of it.
Any other closing thoughts or remarks? Because I really appreciate all your energy and being here and willing to talk about and not pleading the fifth on some topics. Anything, Lisa? I don't know if you're still.
You're freezing up a bit. Okay. You were freezing up. I think it's me. I apologize. All I would say, all I would say is, if there's anybody out there who watches this, who's watching it currently or is watching it in the future, and wants to talk to me a little bit about it, they can reach out to me. I'm sure my name will be on there, and I'd be happy to talk to entrepreneurs and share my experience and the little bit that I know about, going through this, and happy to do that.
Very good. Nicole, do we have any questions that have come in?
Nope, not today. No extra questions from.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I think that's it. We can, end the session and go offline.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are we still live? Nope, we're done. Okay. And you can stop the recording. Lisa, do you have any